Hello,
Oh,
Tyler. Yeah, can you hear and see me, Tyler?
yes,
Uh-huh. Okay, yes. So, how are you, Tyler?
yes. I'm great. How are you?
I'm also doing fine, thank you. Okay, yeah. So I'm just very yeah. I'm very sorry because last night I had to cancel the last minute because I was not really feeling well. But anyway, yeah, I feel much better now. So yeah, I think we can start because I believe Tom actually took his test last Saturday. That's what he said last time. So maybe I'm not sure if he would join. Did you reach out to him, Tyler?
Uh, yeah, it's just start now.
Hmm. Can he join or not?
I text him, but he didn't respond yet.
Ah, he didn't respond. It's okay, it's okay, no problem. I think he can just catch up later if ever he will join. But as I said, he already took the test last time, so maybe I'm not sure if he would still come to join the class. But anyway, despite of that, we will still continue with our lesson, Tyler. Okay, so first, um, we'll have our discussion, of course, and then we can also use this time for question and answer also, Tyler, since you attended like the class alone. So if you got some personal questions or some, let's say, like some questions related to other skills maybe, or other, let's say, like concerns in the speaking test, then we can discuss them in class. Okay.
Yes.
But anyway, we'll start first, of course, with our discussion, Tyler. Okay, so for our discussion this morning, I actually I actually designed this topic for us to discuss this morning, Tyler, because this is actually like one of the most common problems that most IELTS test takers actually have. So we're actually going to discuss about how to maintain natural speaking pace, meaning like we're not going to speak too fast and we're not going to speak slowly. Okay, and what should we do when we run out of ideas? So that means like in the middle of our answers, and then we suddenly cannot think of extra idea, or we cannot suddenly think of let's say like any other ideas, then what should we do? That's our focus for this morning, Tyler. Okay,
Yeah.
so first off, yeah, you want to say something?
No,
Ah, no, no,
no,
no.
no.
Okay. I'll keep going. So here, Tyler, we will start first about why speaking pace matters. Okay, so can you please read the content here, Tyler?
Uh, Taking place is the speed at which you speak. In IELTS speaking, the examiner wants to hear clear speech, natural rhythm, smooth delivery, and
Uh-huh.
the examiner does not want memorized speech, rushed speech, and long periods of silence.
Yes, thank you. So I'll have to explain here, Tyler, that it's very important that you have to remember that this IELTS, or let's say in IELTS speaking, we need to make sure that we have a clear speech. And when we say clear speech here, Tyler, this actually means that there is like one central goal of idea. Okay, so I'll note this one down. So one central goal of your ideas, meaning like you don't jump from one idea to the next. Um, Tyler. Also, you just keep talking and describe the content of your response. That's how it works. And then we do have natural rhythm. So that means that, yeah, it means like not too fast and not too slow in general. So not too fast and not too slow. And then, of course, smooth delivery. So that means like there's no like pauses or hesitations in between. So that's our goal in the speaking test. So also they mention about memorized speech because there are some students like they memorize the answers. Okay, rushed speech, this means like talking fastly. So from the word rush, and long periods of silence. So that means like talking about pausing for a long time. So the examiner doesn't like that kind of idea as well. So anyway, let's keep going. So on the next slide, so we got here like the common problems, okay, or common pacing problems. So can you please read number yeah, problem 1 and problem 2. Also, they
Yeah.
Tyler.
Uh,
Yeah.
One, speaking too fast. Students often panic, rush through answers, skip pronunciation, and the result is difficult to understand. And problem two, speaking too slowly. Students often overthink, search for perfect vocabulary, and the result is frequent pauses and broken fluency.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. So again, speaking too fast. So here, the common tendency is panic and then rush through the answer and then skip pronunciation. So the problem is about mispronunciation. Okay, and as a result, of course, it's difficult to understand. And if you speak slowly as well, then there's overthinking and searching for perfect vocabulary. So this could also lead to slow response. And take note, Tyler, that speaking test is actually a timed exam. So if you take a lot of time, Tyler, to speak, or you take a lot of time before you finish an answer, maybe the examiner will have to cut you off or cut your answers off and proceed to the question. So maybe your ideas will not be complete. So again, this could affect our pauses and the fluency in general. Okay. Next one. So let's read this one. So what is a normal IELTS space? So
Think of it as a normal conversation with a friend and not speak competition, not
mm-hmm,
extremely slow and careful.
mm-hmm,
The rule is if you can comfortably breathe while
breathe.
speaking, you're probably speaking at a good pace.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank you. So this time, we have here like talking about a natural pace. So remember, you have to think of it. You're just talking with a friend, Tyler. Okay, so you just have to speak naturally and, of course, confidently as much as you could. Then it's not a speech competition, so that's why you don't have to speak too fast. And of course, you shouldn't speak too slow as well. So it's just like normal, like when you talk to your friends or when you talk using your language in a regular time or in a normal time, that's how you also have to speak in English. Okay, so let's keep going. So here, let's start with the idea group technique. Okay, so I'll just explain briefly. So when you answer an idea group technique, Tyler, you can actually avoid the pauses, Tyler. So you just say the information in one go. So for example, in this case, speak an idea group. So first idea here is, I think public transportation is important. So that's the first idea. Second idea is because it helps reduce traffic. And the third idea group is it makes commuting easier. So based from this like pattern here, Tyler, you can actually like speak longer. At the same time, you can actually avoid the pauses because the dot 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 here, this describe like the pauses. So for example, especially for most people, we would say, I think that, so it's like it's very long. Okay. But here, That's why like I told you guys to paraphrase the question so that you don't have to think for too long about the like how to start. You can just use the paraphrase statement as your starting point, and then later on you can develop it by giving reason and giving example to your answers. Are we clear, Tyler?
Yes.
Okay. So that's for this part here. Now let's keep going. Can you please read about the natural pause locations?
Uh, Pause after complete ideas, after examples, before introducing a new point.
Mm-hmm.
Example is, I believe
Yes.
exercise is extremely important. For example, people who exercise regularly tend to be healthier. As a result, they often enjoy a better quality of life.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Tyler. So yeah, let's talk about this one then. Okay, so when we say or when we talk about this one, Tyler, so as you can see, of course, um, this one sounds more natural and easy for the flow, Tyler, because as you can see, like there are like pauses. So the pauses here are these marks, Tyler. Okay, so when you give your answer, so first, for example, let's say like this is like your answer and paraphrasing of the question. So, for example, like maybe the question here is, do you think exercise is important? So, in that case, instead of let's say like trying to think longer, just talk directly. So, I believe that exercise is extremely important, or I believe that exercise is not very important. So it depends on you whether you think it's important or not, and then try to work on that one. So as you can see, you have to add example, and then what is the result of what is the result of constant exercise. That's how it should work, Tyler. Okay,
Yeah.
and then let's keep going. So for the next part is let's talk about what the examiners don't mind. Okay. So when we say like what the examiners don't mind, this actually means about, let's say for instance, like what the examiners are not really very technical about, meaning they're not very strict about it. Okay. So it says here, many students fear I must never pause. So it says this is false. Okay. So examiners accept short pauses, thinking pauses, and self correction. Okay, so that means you can still think of or you can still pause, David, or sorry, Tyler, and then you can still think, okay, or you can still do self corrections, but take note, these are just short pauses, Tyler. Okay, so
Yeah.
of course we are not gonna pause for a very long time as well, because if you do, then that would also like affect your fluency, Tyler. So as much as possible you have to pause, but in a natural, or they should sound natural as well. Okay, so here let's try to read this one this time, Tyler. What happens when you run out of ideas?
This happens to everyone, even advanced speakers sometimes think, oh no, I don't know what else to say. And the key is don't panic. You don't need a brilliant idea. You don't need a strategy. You need a
Mm-hmm.
strategy.
Okay, yes, you need a strategy. Okay, so this time we have here first one is we have um talking about when does this thing happen. Okay, so as you can see, it can happen to anyone. Okay, at the same time, it also says here that you can, or you don't have to let's say, or you may need to ask for let's say like some time. Okay, so instead of saying like, or instead of just pausing, Tyler, you need to also practice some strategy on this one. So take note, Tyler, you don't need like very complicated idea. You just need like to answer the question. Okay, because sometimes the reason why students cannot give answer is because they want to think like, I need special answers, or I need like a better idea. So no, the examiner that is thinking about whether you understood the question, and the examiner will just simply check on how well you understood them, Tyler. Okay, so in this case, our first strategy is this one. Can you please read here, Tyler?
Um, when stuck, don't search for a completely new idea. Instead, add
Mm-hmm.
more details to your previous point. Example, I enjoy public park because they are relaxing. And continues, they are also a great place to exercise, spend time with family, and enjoy nature. Simple expansion equal more fluency.
Okay, yes, thank you. So this time, let's talk about this one. So expanding your last idea. So that means that you don't need to keep thinking of a lot of ideas. That's why, like as I have mentioned in our class before, Tyler, you don't need like too much idea. What you need is, especially for part three, just a minute, just two ideas or three ideas maximum. Okay. But anyway, how do we develop the ideas then, or how do we avoid running out of ideas, Tyler? So as you have read, add more details to your previous point. So, for example, I enjoy public parks because they're relaxing. This is your original answer. And then in that case, you have to extend your idea. So, why is it relaxing? So, it's a place to exercise, spend time with family, and enjoy nature. So you just have to think about what else can people get out of going to the public parks, for example. Okay. Then let's move on to strategy two. Strategy two, Tyler, this is very basic. So, of course, giving a reason. Okay, so let's say, for example, after answering the question, automatically we have to give example for that. Okay, so it should be a natural response or for that one. So give a reason or give an example to your answer. And then next one is we have strategy number three. Can you please read here, Tyler?
Um, when stuff feels present, it was praised compared to the past. Nowadays, in previous generations, for example, nowadays people rely heavily on technology compared to the past. Information is much easier to access.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank you. Tyler. So this time, Tyler, as you can see, like use comparison with past and present. So based from this one, so I think it's self-explanatory. You just have to think about what happened in the past compared to the present time in the same topic. So you can use these phrases, Tyler, compared to the past, nowadays, in previous generations, and then describe about it. So for example, nowadays, people rely heavily on technology. Compared to the past, information is much easier to access. So, here, this means like in the past, you need to read, for example, you need to read a whole book to understand a full information of something. But nowadays, you can just use the AI to, let's say, for example, like summarize the important points for you. So that is like an example there, Tyler. So compare the past and the present time. Okay. And then we have strategy number four. Let's read on this one, Tyler.
Talk about consequences. Ask yourself what happens because of this. For example, exercise improve people health. As a result, they may have more energy and reduce the risk of certain illnesses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, thank
Illnesses.
yeah, thank you. So yeah, that is an example there. So talking about yeah, what is the result of something? Okay, so even if we're just talking about if exercise is good or not, you can think about the result here, Tyler. So whether the result is good or bad. Okay, so that's the strategy there. And I think we can end it here for strategy number 5, and then let's practice later. So strategy number 5, we're going to talk about different people. Okay. So in this case, like I have we have discussed this one in our class previously, Tyler. So in this case, like in the example, they have two groups to consider, children and adults. So in that case, you can think about, for example, about parks and how is it good for kids and how is it good for adults. Okay. So anyway, that's for this one, Tyler. Any question?
Mm, don't have any question.
You don't have any questions. Okay, so if you got no questions, Tyler, then we'll continue or we will start with our practice for this morning then. So for our practice this morning, Tyler, we will try a full test. Okay, and then after that, but we'll have it like one by one for each part, Tyler. Okay, so we will not describe them all at once. So let's start with the first part. We'll talk about chatting. So my first question here, Tyler, is do you like chatting with friends?
Yes, I do. The chatting with friends help me relax after a long day, and I also can share many of my favorite things, share my thought with them to uh, strengthen strengthen the the, the relationship, and it, yeah. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Next one. What do you usually chat with friends, Tyler?
yes, most of the time I talk about games. Uh, I have a friend group that we only play a single game, so we are talking about uh, different topic about that game, like strategies or champions or something. And
Mm-hmm.
I also chat with friend about our homework and project at school.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. So this time, um, let's ask the next question. So, do you prefer to chat with a group of people or with only one friend?
Well, in my opinion, I prefer to chat with a group of people because
Mm-hmm.
uh, if if I chat with a group of people, I can hear different uh, different ideas from them rather than just one person. I think it helped me like widen the mindset, or widen the ideas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Yeah, thank you. So next question here, Tyler, is do you prefer to communicate face to face or via social media?
Um, well, in my opinion, I would prefer face-to-face communication.
Mm-hmm.
It could be at a cafe, at school, or sometimes at my friend's house. I think it's more realistic, and uh, it's it's like I can it's fun. It's more meaningful. Like uh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Next question, Tyler, is we have our next topic. Let's have advertisement this time. So, do you often see advertisements, Tyler?
Um, yes, definitely. I see advertisement every day, especially from on social media such as YouTube or Facebook. Uh, it it contain many content like for buying advertisement for product.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, yes.
Okay, yes. So next question here, Tyler is okay, so is okay, wait. Do you see a lot of advertising on trains and yeah, on trains and other transport?
Um, well, I have traveled on trains once last week, and I don't see any advertisement on the train, but
Mm-hmm.
on other means on other public transport, there are many advertisement on bus in my country. It
Uh-huh.
can be advertisement for a company like Vin, product like, and sometimes even a charity
Mm-hmm.
program. Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, yes. Thank you. And next one is um what kind of advertising do you like, Tyler?
Well, um, advertise. I I really like advertisement that uh transport good that transport good mean for people such as the charity programs like helping poor people
Mm-hmm.
protect environments and but I also think beside those advertisement mostly advertise are annoying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. Thank you. So anyway, yeah, thank you for sharing about that one, Tyler. Now, this time, Tyler, sorry, let me just share with you my screen and then I will share with you the questions and let's talk about the feedback, Tyler. So for part one, here's our topic for discussion. Okay, let me write it down. Part one, and then our questions are okay here. So we got two topics. One is chatting, and then of course the other one is advertising. Okay, so let's discuss, or I will give like an overall feedback here, Tyler. Okay, so for the overall feedback, or yeah, feedback, let's discuss them one by one, by the way. So first is this one. Let me write that down. So here, okay, so as I have said, we will be discussing them one by one just to explain how to deal or what are the things to do with our answers here. Okay, so first is let's start with the first one here, Tyler. Okay, so as you can see, I mentioned about good point. Okay, so you paraphrase the question and then you have explained the answer. So actually, the good thing here, Tyler, is that you were able to explain the ideas, Tyler. But I want to highlight on the second one here, Tyler. Okay, because this is actually like one thing that affects fluency in general. Okay, so when we say like talking about like pauses in the middle, so what happened here, Tyler, was that while you were speaking earlier, so you paused to think. Okay, so here about again in our discussion earlier this morning, Tyler, the one that you read earlier, um pause to think is actually fine. Okay, but take note, Tyler, this does not mean that you have to stop talking. Okay, so here, even if let's say like you want to think, Tyler, but at the same time, try to keep the conversation going. Okay, so how do we do this one? So let's say, for example, Tyler, similar to the explanation earlier, like you can always try to think more for your answer. So, for example, maybe you can think of a reason. So, what could be a possible reason for that one? Or maybe you can think of an example. Okay, so think of a reason or think of an example. Okay, to how to expand on this one. Or you can think about an effect of that topic. So take note, our first or the question that we got here is, let's say like what do you usually like chat about friends, for example. So in that case, then yeah, maybe, or I think it was still in question number one. Do you like chatting with friends? So yeah, you can just explain about this one, Tyler. Like for example, what is the reason you talk with your friends? So you can say it makes me feel comfortable, or it makes me release my stress, or you can say like I can share some good news with my friends. So it's like you just have to explain about it. I know that maybe explaining about it, Tyler, may feel like this is very common. So why do I have to say about this? But take note, in the IELTS test, Tyler, even if the topics are common, you still have to explain them so that the examiner will know your capacity to speak. Okay? So in this case, Tyler, again, it would be advised to just keep talking. Okay, so just keep talking of your ideas, and try not to leave things hanging. Okay, leave things hanging. So meaning like, yeah, you have to let's say make sure that everything is well accounted for. That's that's the second point here, or that is like my first first things to improve, Tyler. Next one, Tyler, I want to highlight about the third one as well. So you ended your answer with the word yeah earlier, Tyler. Okay, so I think we've talked about this one before already, Tyler, about um ending your answers. Okay, because anyway here, Tyler, take note that in part one, we don't need long response. So it's okay to end your answers, but how to end your answers well? So take note, we have discussed about the of use the falling intonation, Tyler. Okay, so for example, let's say like I think that's okay, you can say like I believe those are the things that blah blah blah. So just make your voice sound to go down. So if it's the last idea, then make sure that the pronunciation of the last word for that sentence would be going down. That's use of falling intonation. Okay, so the use of falling intonation will give you a non-verbal cue. So give a nonverbal cue to the examiner. Okay, so that's yeah, that's one thing. Or for example, let's say like you want to say more but you think you spoke a lot already, or you think that you cannot explain it better. So you can just simply like wrap up your answer. So how do we wrap up your answer, Tyler? So you can actually say, for example, you can say like, I believe that's all. That's all. So you can have that one, or you can also have like, you can also have like or you can say honestly, so you can say like I believe that's, or that's what I can think of, that's all I could think of, that's fine. So especially if the topic here, Tyler, is let's say, maybe very complex, or it requires like long explanation. So you have like two ways. So you could either say like, that's all I can think of, or I believe that's all. So either ways, it's actually like a good way to end your answer, Tyler, instead of saying like, yeah, like that, because like it could sound informal, Tyler. And take note, IELTS test or IELTS speaking test is a formal exam. So we need to be formal as well. Although the tone of our voice is, it should be like we are talking to our friends, or yeah, like talking casually, but do not also like too very casually or too casual as well. Okay, and the next one, here I noted like you provided examples. So this is a good point actually, Tyler. I just want to also include a suggestion. Okay, so I put here, can improve to categorize the idea. So how do we which part is this? So I put here question number 2. So this one. So what do you usually chat about with friends? So here, Tyler, you actually mentioned like few things. So you mentioned about like games, about your life at school and something like that. And then you also mentioned about like homework or projects. So in this case, Tyler, you can categorize the idea in two ways also. So for example, you can talk about like personal conversation. So what do you talk about personal conversation? So let's say for example, you can talk about your life changes, or you can talk about like for example like recent maybe like recent challenges, or recent like maybe achievements in your life. So you can talk about, that's the first example of personal conversations, Tyler. Or you can also talk about like academic topics. So for example, when we say academic, it has something to do with school. So you can say about like homework or project. That's how you can describe it, Tyler. Okay, or categorize it, Tyler. But again, your answer for this part, it's already good. It's just that like I just added like extra information that you can use for to organize your answers better. Okay. So any questions for part 1, Tyler?
Mm, no, I don't have any question.
Okay, if you don't have any questions, so let me save this note, and let's proceed to part 2 this time, Tyler. So for part 2, let's have this topic. Okay, here, Tyler. Okay, so our topic here, Tyler, is describe a famous person you would like to meet. Okay, so again, it's a famous person you'd like to meet. So I'll give you 1 minute, Tyler, to prepare, and your 1 minute starts now. Okay, time is up, Tyler. So this time, Tyler, you got 1 to 2 minutes to talk about your answer. So timer starts now.
The person I want to, the famous person I want to meet is Mr. Beast. Uh, His real name is Jimmy Donaldson, and he is a content creator on YouTube and also a philanthropist. Uh, he, uh, I know him on like one time I joined YouTube and I saw his video on my For You page, and I click on that video, and uh, that video really shocked me. Like in that video, he's planting 1,000 trees uh, on his country, and that really impressed me. Uh, and he also and I also know him through my friends because he's quite a famous characters on internet. So my friends usually talk about him as a successful YouTuber with a diamond YouTube play button. I would like to meet him. I hope there's a chance he comes to Vietnam for a charity project. It can be like supporting the victim of flood in the middle of Vietnam. And I would like to like participate in that project to help him and also help our citizens, our victim of flood. Um, I would like to meet him because he is very kind and generous person. He also a very hardworking person. Was not have he was a small YouTuber and he worked his ways on become a famous one, and he also and he has a very kind heart. Uh, he helped many children in Africa. In
Yeah, time is up, Tyler. Thank you. Okay, so in this case, let's talk about this topic. Okay, so for part two, let me just write down. So part two, here's our topic. Okay, okay, here. So let's talk about this one. Okay, for our discussion. So describe a famous person you would like to meet. Okay, so here Tyler, let's talk about the feedback. Okay, so for my for the feedback, I'll just type them down one by one. Okay, so for this part, the first one would be about connective styler. Okay, so I will not explain further about the connectives. Okay, but um it would be better, Tyler, if you would have like an effective use of connective here. Okay, so again, please try to yeah, familiarize the use of connectives. Okay, and try to also identify Tyler when to use them. Okay, so here I would add about know when to use them. So know when to use them. Because earlier, Tyler, you were able to actually answer all the questions, Tyler, which is good because that means you understood the topic and you were able to elaborate on them. Okay. And then also you were able to discuss the information, Tyler. But another thing that I want to highlight here is about organize the information well. Okay, so why do I say you have to organize the information well, Tyler? It's because like earlier, Tyler, like you were actually like you started off by describing about, let's say, like what are his like or what kind of help did he give to people, and then how did you know about this person, and then also you mentioned about like the good things, mainly about the good things about it. And then towards the end, Tyler, you also explain like you want him or you want him to also like help or come to Vietnam and help like those people who are also in need in your country, and that was actually like good. But when I was not yet stopping you, because when I checked the timer, Tyler, at that time, there was still like around 10 seconds left. So you mentioned again about what he does, Tyler. So I understand that maybe you're still like trying to, like buy some time so that you can finish the whole 2 minutes. And I appreciate that one, Tyler, because it only shows that you have this enthusiasm to like finish the whole 2 minutes. But the thing is, of course you have to organize the information well, Tyler. Okay, so in this case, maybe in this situation, like group information according to their purpose. So what do I mean by this one? So for example, if you want to talk about, let's say, like about activities, so group all the activities together. Okay, or in this topic, for example, if you want to talk about his achievements, then talk about all of his achievements together, or talk about like who are these people that he helped already. Okay. So that is like how you group the information, Tyler. You cannot jump from one idea to the next, because just like what I said, you already have like good ideas, Tyler. But if you jump, or if you disorganize the idea, then there's a possibility that of course it will not pull your scores down, like maybe like one point down, but of course it can make you feel like uncomfortable, or it can make you feel, let's say, like maybe unsure of your answers. And of course, mentally it could affect your overall like part three responses later. So just make sure that you organize the idea as well. But other than that, you did well in your answer, Tyler. Okay, content is good. Okay, we just have to work on developing the connectives, and at the same time, you have to try to organize your information well. Any questions for this one, Tyler?
No.
No questions. Okay, so if you got no questions, we'll have the last topic this time about part three. So for part three, we'll talk more about being famous. And for the first question, Tyler, what are the of advantages and disadvantages of being a famous child?
Well, in my opinion, let's talk about the advantages of being a famous child. First is the income. A famous child make a lot of money that can help their parents on the financial problem, and also a famous child can have many opportunity to learn to like uh, interact with other celebrities to gain experience through them. And the disadvantages is that child can be uh, like sleep on the winning, like uh, become become. I think it's mostly the disadvantages come from not being educated enough when when it was very young and it's famous. So there are some bad influence can easily affect them, and that will destroy the image of the children. And I think that is my answer.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Other,
yes. Next one, Tyler. So, what can today's children do to become famous?
well, I think children today could do well. Let me see. I think they can do some content for other child. For
Mhm.
for example, like some cartoon, some cartoon like uh, or a know uh, participate in a AMV for children music, and they can also become a voice actor for different animes and cartoon. That's all.
Mhm. Okay, yes, thank you. And next one is what can children do with their fame?
Well, I think children, uh, I think the children can, in my opinion, what can they do with their frame? I think it depends on their parents or their companies that had them. But I mostly think they can be a good mirror, a good image for other children uh, to learn to follow and can be. I think so. That's all. That's
Mhm.
all.
Okay, yes. So next one is do people become famous because of their talent?
Um, yes. Yes, definitely. Uh, I think some people. I think most celebrity in the world is famous for their talent. For example, actor like Tom Holland, and
Mhm.
for example, some actor and a singer are mostly famous for their talent in their fields, such as acting, producing music, producing art, uh, drawing.
Mhm.
I think they become famous because people admire their talent, not because of the factor.
Mhm. Okay, yes, thank you, Tyler. Okay, so this time let's move on to our yeah, answers that are our discussion this time, Tyler. So let me share my
This topic
screen.
is so hard. I can't think of anything. Like
But actually, there are some parts that you answered where well, Tyler, especially like number one, question number one. I really love your answer there. But yeah, I also noticed the same thing. Like you seem to have like trouble about this topic. But anyway, let's discuss about it, Tyler. Okay, because I think if the topic is just about, like popular, let's say like popular people, or maybe it's just about like popularity in general, I think you may have a lot of ideas about it, Tyler. But because the topic is actually about like popular, or let's say like famous child, so I think that's where you have some trouble with, because you have to consider about like how is it related to the child and so on. But yeah, but anyway, let's discuss about the content. So here, Tyler, first things first is yeah, as I have said, like you have some good main points, and also the good thing here, Tyler, is that you were able to paraphrase the question. Okay, so I don't have troubles about you paraphrasing the question because you're able to do them very well already. So just a few things about the things to improve this time, Tyler. So let me write them down. Okay, so for the things to improve, okay, so let's have the following points. Okay, so first things first here, Tyler, is I want to highlight about question number three. Okay, so why do I want to highlight about question number three, Tyler? It's because earlier it seems like you paraphrased the question for number three, but there's no clear point. Okay, so no clear point on this question. Okay, so in this case, Tyler, like of course, in order for us to give a reasonable response, we need to have a clear point for that. But I think maybe the problem here, Tyler, is same with what you have said after our our practice. So this topic is kind of hard. So this is where like our strategy of asking question comes in, Tyler. Okay, so you can actually like ask the examiner to simplify the question. Okay, so this is the time that we ask to simplify the question right away, Tyler. Okay, so we will not ask the examiner to repeat because I believe that you have heard the questions well because you were able to paraphrase them. So I believe you've heard the questions well, but the trouble is not about the question themselves, but it's all about the let's say like or not hear about not hearing the question, but it's all about the question type themselves. So you have to just ask to simplify the question. That's one thing. Okay. And then also, another thing that you can do here, Tyler, is you can also like just think of the central idea. So take note, you already have a hint in the first question that they talk about famous child or famous children. So famous child or children. So the same thing is also applied for question number two about children's popularity. So in that case, you just have to link them together. Okay. So it's still about like popularity of children. So what should we do? And take note, Tyler, like question number three, it says here, what can children do with their fame? So this means that, for example, if children are very famous, how can it help them, Tyler? Can it help them in education? Can it help them to achieve something more or something like that? So you have to link them together. Okay. Although I'm not very sure if you have so much information about this, Tyler, but that's what you can do about that one. Okay. And then another thing that I would like to highlight is also you can also like use varied, let's use this word, varied connectors, Tyler. So earlier, you were able to use connectors, although not all the time, but you were able to use them. But again, let's try to familiarize more connectors. So remember, we have already like learned the different kinds of connectors and when to use them. So yeah, just take that opportunity as well to improve your responses here, Tyler. Okay. So anyway, yeah, these are like the main points that you have to consider, Tyler, in answering for part three. But overall, it's fine. You just have to make sure, Tyler, that you're able to explain the ideas further and you understood the question really in part two, part three. Because take note, this will actually like take a portion of your overall score because this is a discussion part. Okay.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
As
So,
we did all the part, right? Can you
mm,
write my can you
ah,
write
your answers. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure, sure. Okay, so in this case, wait, let me share with you the band descriptor so that we will give a score based on the band descriptor, Tyler. So for the band descriptor, here. So let me just make it a little bigger so that you can see it well. Okay, so here, Tyler, we can actually, yeah, describe it this way. So, for your answers are actually like in between, like band six and band five for the fluency and coherence. So there are some parts that you speak at length. Okay, although there are some hesitations. Okay, and then here there are also like some parts that is, let's say like here you have some trouble with keeping the idea going. Okay, so that's like 50-50 for each part. And then for the fluency and coherence, so you were able to paraphrase them successfully, which is good. And also your vocabulary is just suitable for the topic, Tyler, which is good. Okay, and then for the grammar, so it's about the use of simple and complex structure. So actually, grammar, I'll give you six for that. And then here it's also like six. So can be understood throughout, though there are some mispronunciations and individual words or sounds reduces clarity at times. But overall, you got some good responses here, Tyler. So I would say like overall you can either get between like 5.5 to 6. Okay, but
Yeah.
again, Tyler, your responses for part 3 has greatly affect this one, because if you were able to expand further or develop further on your responses, because for example question number 2 in part 3, Tyler, you had a good start. Actually, you mentioned about the contents and so on, but it lacks deeper understanding or it lacks deeper explanation, so you have to work on that one. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so anyway, any questions, Tyler?
No, at all.
No more questions. Okay, so if you got no other questions, Tyler, then that would be all for our speaking practice this morning. And yeah, we'll continue with our lesson on Wednesday night. Okay? Yes. Bye bye.